Hey, I thought I would show what I've been doing behind the scenes. They had a really nice bundle on Bundle Stars last week, where you could pick. I think the maximum is you could pay like what was it, like $6 or $7 for 20 Genesis games. What I did is I bought the 5 game bundle twice because, as I've explained before, I did not grow up with the Genesis. I had a friend I met across the street from my house. There was a park across the street when I was growing up with my grandparents. And I met him over there and his brother. And for a couple years, I went over there, and they were a Genesis family. I don't think they had a Super Nintendo, so uh, all the stuff like Sonic, Streets of Rage, and stuff like that, I only got to play over there. I didn't have any kind of access to it at home. I had neighbors. I had a neighbor named Jonathan and a good friend named Sean, but they were all Nintendo kids like me, so I didn't even know what most of the games were, and if I did, I didn't really have any nostalgia for them. So I just got stuff that I played either at their houses when I was a kid, or things that I discovered later on with emulation. I did dabble with emulation for the Genesis quite a bit in my younger years, especially when they had it running pretty well on the PSP. Played so much Streets of Rage 2 on the PSP. They just put out a hack for the Vita a couple of days ago. Apparently, it's got a pretty accurate Genesis emulator. I might go ahead and do that. It's just the problem is I use my Vita for internet access when I'm away from home because I don't have a smartphone. And I know Sony being Sony, they're gonna patch it. I'm like kind of curbing my excitement. I hope what I can do is maybe next month. I don't think there's any games that I'm going to be getting next month aside from maybe God Eater 2 on PC if that has 60 FPS support. Maybe I'll just get a cheap Vita off Craigslist or something and just hack that one. But what's cool about this, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, it hasn't really been publicized. It's definitely one of the coolest things any big gaming company has done. Obviously, Sega is not really a big juggernaut that they were, back when I was a kid, but basically, you see there's a button there for mods. On the Steam Workshop, you can take ROM hacks and stuff, and you can put them on the workshop, and you can just subscribe to them like you would for any other game, like Skyrim or Torchlight or Fallout, anything like that. You can just click on it and subscribe to it, and you'll get the ROM hack in there. So I went ahead and I spent probably a couple weeks of checking like every other day, or maybe sometimes even once a day, getting a bunch of these mods, and there's a bunch of really cool ones. Now, obviously, most of them are Sonic, and I'm not a big Sonic fan. I just kind of got these because I couldn't figure out what other games to get in that 5 game bundle. Most of them are Sonic games. There's also a lot of people putting up just straight up ROMs, which I think is pretty stupid because you can just go download the ROMs off a ROM site. It kind of like defeats the purpose. So if you do get these games, they are on sale on the Steam, store pretty often. The Bundle Stars bundle just ended a couple days ago, so this is kind of bad timing on my part, but I've still been recovering from all this stuff that's been happening, so I wasn't able to get around to it. But if you want, you should definitely get these, even if you have the ROMs for them. Like, even if you play these games on your phone, it's actually nice to have them legally on here because you can get access to a bunch of mods. So I've collected quite a few. I only have one for Streets of Rage 1. I think it's like Turbo Game Mode. Streets of Rage 2, I have a bunch. And Streets of Rage 3 has quite a few as well. So what I'm going to do is one that just appeared on the Steam Workshop earlier today. I've got so many of these to go through. These will be filler videos. I don't have anything else going on. Now, this one is a Final Fight mod, which is pretty cool. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play through the first level here. So you have Hager from Final Fight 3, Cody from Final Fight 1 because he was not in any of the sequels, Guy from Final Fight 3, and then random Brat Kid from Final Fight 2. I don't know why he's here. They could have just put in like Lucia or Dean or Carlos or something. I want to play as Guy. Guy has always been my favorite Final Fight character. So he has most of his Final Fight 3 moveset. He also has a run, which is pretty cool because, you know, Streets of Rage 2, only Skate has a run. He's also got an infinite with his jab string. This is probably the Genesis game that I've played the most. Like I said, I always had very limited access to anything from the Genesis at all, aside from when I could go to a friend's house, which is obviously not as convenient as when, you know, you play at home when you're a kid. I played a pretty large portion of the Super Nintendo and NES libraries when I was a kid, because I had a my grandpa had a deal with the locally owned video store that we went to. Since he had been going there for way before, a couple years before I was even born, when I was old enough to play video games consistently, it was like probably like elementary school. Like the owners would let me pick out a game anytime he wanted to pick up a movie, and he picked up movies a lot. He's a movie buff, so. A lot of times I would play a lot of Mega Man X because it was like, that was pretty much one of my favorite games of all time, it still is. But a lot of times I would just play random stuff because like Mega Man would be out or there wouldn't be anything else. But I never really had that opportunity with the Genesis, so I think it's pretty cool that they have a pretty decent chunk of the heavy hitter Genesis games on the Steam Workshop. Steam store with the workshop support. Now, I'm not enough of a purist to know how good the emulation is. I've heard some people say it's like not the best, but I haven't really noticed any issues so far. I mean, honestly, you can I think you can actually take these ROMs out of your Steam folder and just dump them in an emulator if you don't like the emulator that comes with it. But don't quote me on that. So Guy has a really easy infinite with his basic attack string, but he doesn't have his dash attack infinite that he had in Final Fight 3. He like switched infinites. Like when you dash, if you push square or the A button or whatever it is on the Genesis, he just does his full dash attack string. You don't have any control over it. I haven't really gotten good at fighting Barbin with Guy yet. Seems a little harder than the other characters. go back and you play these classic beat 'em ups, you appreciate Streets of Fury EX a lot more, because one of the best things about Streets of Fury EX that people don't talk about is that the AI, the enemies, can't go off screen in that game. Like, they can be out of your view, but they can't actually go out of the boundary, which is one of the most annoying things about classic beat 'em ups, even like some of the best ones like this one. This game is notorious. Donovan, especially, he will just camp off screen for an eternity and waste time. And they can hit you off screen too. Like you saw Barvin kick me, even though he was out of the game boundary. If you play that game, if you got it from my giveaway, you might not notice it at first, but that's one of the coolest things that that game did. Is it fixed an age-old problem. I've played so many beat 'em ups in my day, and like that is one of the most annoying things. But yeah, you can check this out. I'll go ahead and I'll show some of the other mods that I'll be covering. I don't think there's much for Alien Soldier. Oh, I didn't mean to go right into it. Hold on. I'm not any good at that game anyway. They also have these chill editions, which is like if you just want to play the game and not mess around with complicated stuff. It's like kind of an easy mode. Pretty cool. This has the original 60 Hz or 60 FPS version, which apparently the English or American version didn't run at that. I don't know much about Alien Soldier. But some of the other mods I'll be covering. I will probably do Streets of Rage Killer mod at some point. The IVEX mod, you probably can't see it because the text is too downscaled. The IVEX mod basically enables like air combos and stuff like that. It's a pretty cool mod. Apparently, G-Source, if you look on the Steam Workshop, probably like 90% of the mods for this game are from him. He's like super passionate about the Streets of Rage series. He's the one that, if he didn't make all these mods, he was nice enough to port them and update them. This one like enables air combos. This one is supposed to have like turbo mode, super fast speed. There's a bunch of random dumps from other games. Streets of Rage 2.5, I guess it enables the Streets of Rage 3 versions of the characters in 2, which is a nice thing to have. Actually, go ahead and try that out right now. I'm kind of curious. I haven't messed around with these too much because I've been busy with other stuff. Yeah, I can see that the sprites are different. I wonder if it has the defensive options in the run and stuff like that. That looks kind of goofy. It's kind of disappointing. One of the best things about Streets of Rage 3 is that they had more defensive options. In Streets of Rage 2, as good of a game as it is, the speed of the game is quite slow. The only characters that can really move fast at all are Max and Skate. When Max has to do the Thunder Tackle, which is your Super Joy, so it takes health. It's cool that they have the running animation, but that doesn't really seem like it's something I'll put a significant amount of time into. So most of these are just random characters. I like this Final Fight one so far. I'll probably do some full playthroughs of this at some point. Go ahead and I'll try one more, but let's see. There's a bunch for Streets of Rage 3. One of these is like a complete rebalancing of the game. Fixes a lot of the issues and stuff like that. The American version of Streets of Rage 3 is like ridiculously hard. It has like arcade tier difficulty where it feels like it's tuned to like, you know, pull more quarters out of your wallet, but the problem is obviously it's not an arcade game. It never was. It's one of the biggest problems. It's one of the reasons why people don't like Streets of Rage 3. So a lot of these mods just address some of those issues. I haven't even messed with these at all yet. I played Streets of Rage 3 probably the least out of the trilogy. I played 1 and 2 a lot. So I'll be exploring a lot of these in the near future if people are interested. Like I said, I don't have a huge amount of nostalgia for Genesis, but Streets of Rage is definitely one of my favorite beat 'em up trilogies. I'd say the quality is pretty consistent. It actually does improve throughout the series, whereas Final Fight kind of went through a lot of weird transitional phases. Like Final Fight 2 was just a very by the numbers, felt like a one of those like Disney direct-to-video sequels. There wasn't anything special about it. It didn't really need to exist. Then Final Fight 3 was amazing. It's arguably the best game in the series in terms of the gameplay mechanics. And then they started doing random stuff like Final Fight Revenge and Streetwise, and then they just stopped making them. At least with Streets of Rage 3, they improved the mechanics quite a bit, even though the game's got a lot of other problems. So I'll be trying these out in the near future. Maybe even tomorrow I'll probably showcase a couple more of these mods so people can get an idea of them. So once again, you can get these off Steam. I think they're on sale on external sites pretty often. If I find out that they're on sale again, I will let you guys know. Like I said, it's nice to not have to deal with ROM hacking sites. You don't have to IPS patch the games or anything. You just do like 2 mouse clicks and you have the mod. So it's nice to have these, even if you're one of those people who's against buying ROMs, because that is what you're doing. I mean, to be fair, you're buying legal ROMs, but I'd say you get a pretty nice bonus for doing that. It's just you have to sift through. There's a lot of trash in there, a lot of people putting up ROMs, and it doesn't seem like they have anybody who's actually moderating the workshop. Like I know maybe some of the other more popular games like Skyrim and stuff, maybe they have somebody curating it to make sure people don't do that. But here, there's just a bunch of ROMs, which it's pointless. It's clutter. You will have to look quite a bit. You can search for the name of the game in the search box, and that should remove a lot of the trash. You should be able to find stuff like I bought all these a couple days ago, and I was able to find the mods for them pretty fast. You just type in the name of the game, and that'll prevent having to go through like 24 pages. There's only like 25 or 26 pages, but I'd say probably like maybe even 5, 6, maybe even up to 10 pages is just people putting up ROMs. But there is some really nice substantial stuff in there. So if you've got any nostalgia for these games at all, you should definitely check it out. Anyway, that's the video for today. I hope that I'll have more of this in the near future. I'll probably, once I start streaming again, I'll probably go through a bunch of these other mods.